Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon from where we are. And we are having today this child rights, our webinar, which is arranged by Global Peace Let's Talk. And the motive of Global Peace is to provide education for everybody globally, for everyone. So that's we are going to do today. And let's start with the first is that we are having this for about 2 hours, or we'll try to make it a bit earlier, but it will take at least 1 hour, 1.5 hours to conclude. So while in the start, I'll request first of all our Ma'am Nikki to explain a little bit about Global Peace Let's Talk, and because she is the founder and top executive of Global Peace Let's Talk, so let's within few minutes she is going to explain the vision of GPLT and her vision as well. So then we move on. Over to you, Ma'am Nikki.
Okay. Thank you, Senator, and warmest welcome to everybody. Thank you so much. It's Friday and it's late for a lot of you, and here we all are gathered together with a common purpose, and that purpose is because the lives of children matter to us. So we've now uniting, and everybody has the opportunity to share the work that they do and ideas on what needs to improve. Somebody, can they put their microphones off? We need to switch the microphones off.
Yeah, I will try.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Global Peace Let's Talk is an international organization. Our members come from across the world, all the way from Africa. We have many of our members are in Africa.
Just 1 minute, ma'am. Nikki, you can unmute.
Okay, there we go. All right, so everybody can hear me?
Now rest all are muted, please. Over to you.
Okay, there we go. All right, so thank you, everybody. It's a gift for us to have all of you present because we recognize that you're here because you're committed to making change in the lives of children. Our world is very troubled right now, and we need leaders. We need leaders across the world that focus on the safety and the future for our children, because they are our future. And so many are suffering because of the wars in Ukraine, across Africa, across many countries. And here we all are today gathered together to give our voices and our vote for us to work on child rights together. And that is what Global Peace Let's Talk does. We do talk. We talk with everybody that is busy working on projects. We recognize those projects, that they're making a difference, and then we profile those people. So Global Peace Let's Talk is an organization that looks at how can we make a difference. What is the one thing you and I can do that can make the slightest bit of difference in the community that you live in, and that you raise your voice in times of crisis to support an end to the violence and the conflict that impacts children so greatly in this world of ours. So we provide those opportunities. We're extremely blessed with our members. We have, as I've said earlier, members across the world, and the people that we draw towards global peace are all change makers. They are facilitators of change. They are inspiring people. that take their work that they're doing in their community very seriously. We very strongly linked to universities across the world also, and working with professors and doctors that share their knowledge and their skills with us. Our executive that we have in Global Peace Let's Talk, Madagay Pillay, is deeply passionate about this one word. And Madagay says, each one teach one. And she believes that if each one of us just teach one person, and that person teaches another person, then we are already making a difference in the world. And today is definitely a each one teach one, because you are going to share with us and we're going to learn from that. And in turn, we will pass that on to somebody else so that the word spreads. Our members matter greatly to us. We do our very best to accommodate everybody. We have what we call chapters, 8 chapters. And the difference, we have a youth chapter, we have the children's chapter, we have the arts and culture chapter, agriculture, etc. So the people with the skills and knowledge then run that chapter. They are the directors of those chapters, and they then organize events throughout the year so that the word of global peace can spread. We have won 2 awards that we're very proud of for Global Peace Let's Talk. We are still in process of our link to the United Nations. We're hoping that will happen soon. We've got a lot of visions that we'd like to accomplish, and the one being that our exposure gets stronger and that we have access, direct access to the United Nations. For me personally, I would like nothing better than to see 1 or 2 or 3 of our members standing up at the United Nations, sharing their voice. That is my vision. I want to see the people that are in Global Peace Let's Talk grow and earn respect globally, so that they will then be invited to all of these things. So that's about it. So I'm going to go off now so you can carry on. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So nice of you. You have enlightened us again with your vision and what GPLT has to do. So now let's move forward for today's this webinar, and I'll request Miss Martha Liscano, the Deputy Executive Chairperson and Director, Education, Children Rights and Child Ambassador. So over to you, Miss Martha. Your mic, please. No, we can't hear you. Let me handle from here then.
Okay.
Okay, now okay, yes.
Can I share my presentation?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
It's first slide, which shows educating means loving, being together, and creating jointly. Next.
Yeah.
I'll read on. Yeah. This is
yes. Okay.
This is our mission to propose developing tools for a culture of peace and non-violence from childhood through the development of non-violent communication skills, mediations, negotiations, and sustainable projects. Problems. Given the culture of war, violence, and lack of coexistence that characterize our time, it is important to carry out educational actions that achieve greater well-being for our children. Solution. We do this through, just a moment, please. Yes. We do this through sustainable educational projects of cultural exchange between several countries, and the appointment of child ambassadors of global peace who pass their messages of peace over to the adult world. Great idea. Educating means loving, being together, and creating jointly.
It's important to foster joy in children. In this respect, and to conclude, let me mention a book called The Book of Joy by Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. Here, the authors point out that there are 8 pillars of joy for children. They are perspective, humility, human acceptance, forgiveness, gratitude, compassion, and generosity. These pillars are a great contribution to human interconnectedness in life in an integrative way, thus achieving true union, the basis for joy.
Great.
This is idea, joy, joy. A lot of joy. Here the different situations in these groups in GPLT. Then Mariana explained the situations. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Done. Great. So, Martha, you want to say something more?
Can I ask a question to Mata on that one slide? You're talking about the Peace School in Kenya. Tell us about that project, because that's such a beautiful project.
Okay. Or any question in the chat area, no? In the question, right?
Yes, yes. We'll do it there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Now we move on to our next participant. He is Professor Elizabeth Tatua. She is from University Lecture, founder and president of Audacious Voice Association from USA. Do we have?
Yes.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Moderator. Yes. Good evening, dear presenters, moderator. I want to give special thanks to the Global Peace for this initiative, and especially for organizing this conference. Special thanks goes to also Dr. Nikita. Thank you very much for this opportunity for us to exchange ideas and to continue to brainstorm on how to improve on the well-being of children all over the world, but more specifically, especially in Africa. My brief talk this afternoon is captured healthy parenting and balanced development. Healthy parenting and balanced development. I'll give a very brief anecdote about my personal experience. As a young girl, I was very passionate about cooking. I learned to cook at a very early age. I will do food science was a very favorite subject for me in secondary school. I will do homemade juice, snacks, cakes, and my family enjoyed all of this a lot, especially my father used to enjoy this. And when I got to the end of my secondary school years, I registered food and nutrition, what we call food science, as one of the subjects I wanted to write for my GCE ordinary level that would permit me to transition to high school. And this subject had two phases. There was the practical part of it and then the theory part of it. So the practical part needed us to do some practical sessions, exercise cooking in the laboratory. And so I needed about 20,000 francs, CFA francs, which at the time was about 45 US dollars. And when I went to my father and told him about this, that I needed this money, I was surprised when he said no. In his words, he said, I cannot spend money for you to learn how to cook. What food don't you know how to cook in this house? I have given money to your brother because he is doing practicals for physics and biology. He is going to become a medical doctor tomorrow. That is what you should be thinking about, not learning how to cook. You want me to spend my money for you to cook? What does this bring out? My father did not give a thought to the reason why I wanted to register this subject as one of the subjects I would like to do for my certificate exams. He was imposing what he thought was better for me, like biology or physics. I was not apt in the sciences. And so he thought my brother's choices were much better than mine. He did this without giving me the opportunity to have a conversation to explain to him why I needed this subject. I did not want to write food and nutrition because I was going to pursue food and nutrition in the high school. But to me, it was for me to get this subject, combine it with the other 3 subjects I knew I will pass so that I can have a chance to go to high school and read literature, which was my best subject. He discriminated against me by responding to my brother's request, not mine, and making fun of my preference to food science as opposed to physics. Dear audience, do not get me wrong. My father loved both of us and was always concerned about our success. However, his unconscious or deliberate reaction and action to this situation inadvertently bred feelings of discrimination and injustice. His attitude was discouraging rather than encouragement of my potential to cook or my skills to cook. Did my father know that his action was infringing on my right to education? Probably not. Did he realize that he was infringing on my right to participate in decisions that concern my education? Probably not. Was he even aware of the fact that his argument against my registration of food and nutrition or my interest in food and nutrition for ordinary level exams was a prejudice against my gender as opposed to my brothers? Probably not. As a young girl, and though I was raised as most African children to respect and adhere to parents' decisions, I was angry and I revolted against his act because I knew my potential and I knew I needed this subject to pass the certificate exams in order to transition to high school. So I insisted to get the money and to do the practicals. But as I grew up and became more informed about the rights and responsibilities of children, and as an African mother today, I literally relieve the incessant neglect and of the incessant neglect and abuse of children's rights and exposure to harm and the inhibition of potential skills in children. Dear audience, this is an iceberg of situations like this one in our communities, and most often the victims, who are children, do not have the opportunity or the strong will that I had to stand up for themselves and not to derail from their ambitions and abandon the development of their potentials. When I learn or when I reflect on this today, what comes to my mind is that my father was even ignorant, was doing what he did out of ignorance, taking into consideration his own level of education and exposure at the time. It is within this backdrop that I am proposing that for organizations like Global Peace and other human rights agencies, communities, institutions, to ensure that there is healthy and balanced parenting. To ensure that there is healthy and balanced parenting. Both parents and children should be aware and be educated on the rights of children. In order for us to ensure that there is a healthy and balanced parenting, both children and parents should be rights of children. They should be conscious of the most often negative emotional, psychological, and moral impact that neglect, be it consciously or on the children's educational, personal, and social development. As most of us already know, I am not going to lecture anyone here on the rights of children. We have experts here on that. This is even more important because, as stated in a report by the Children's Rights Alliance of Ireland, the UN Human Rights Commission has identified 5 most: family life, the right to play and recreation, the right to be protected from abuse and harm. According to the Children's Rights Alliance, these are fundamental to the development of children and young people under 18 years of age, because children's rights cover the developmental and age-appropriate needs that change over time as they grow up. Looking at the 5 most important rights stated above, what are the implications? What are the dynamics for a family, especially for parents? Parents should be aware that discriminatory attitudes or actions affect children greatly and may retard or distort their growth processes. There should be equal access to education regardless of gender, disability, parental or sexual orientation. The best interest of a child must be a primary consideration in all actions and decisions concerning children. How many parents in families take decisions with the interest of their children at heart? How many times do parents try to talk with children to understand their own interest and to put these interests even when it comes to childbearing or when it comes to family budgeting? Do we put the children's interest first when we make such considerations? The right to survival and development. This underscores the vital importance of ensuring access to basic services and to quality, the quality of opportunity children need to attain proper development. The views of a child, just like my father did. How many times do we seek to understand and to listen to our children's views? How many times do we give them the opportunity to talk before we take decisions? This is very important for parents to respect, especially when it comes to matters concerning children's education, children's health. A child should be consulted. There should be a conversation between parents and children before such important decisions concerning any aspect of their lives or their growth are taken. I know in our African environment and families, it sounds far-fetched. We move children sometimes from their rooms without even notice. And again, I would take my personal experience as a child and even as a parent. Relatives are coming to the house. We don't even inform our children. They only discover when they arrive the house with their bags. We move our children from their rooms and toss them all in one room without their consent, without having a conversation with them, even to explain why these relatives are coming, strangers are coming, and to make them understand the situation and let them give their opinions so that we can come to a consensus. When I grew up as a mother, and today my daughter at the age of 22, when she tells me her experiences while she was a younger girl and what happens in the rooms when all these relatives and guests came in and we had to make them sleep on the floor, on the mattress, while the guest takes the bed and all of that, I feel so sad and ignorant as a mother. Because in situations like this, that is where children are abused.
Doctor, you have 2 minutes more, please conclude.
Thank you. And on the other hand, apart from children and parents being aware of their the rights of children, it is also important for children to be taught their responsibilities. Because in every right, there is a responsibility. And for children to have a balanced and healthy development, they should be able to manage the two, knowing their rights and knowing their responsibilities. Responsibilities of physical hygiene, responsibilities of learning to help others who are in need, responsibilities of the older children taking care of younger ones, and learning to love within families and learning to love one another. And my proposal is to the global peace as an institution that preaches peace. What instruments do you put in place for such education to be effective in communities, for parents to be educated of the rights of children, and for children to be aware of their rights so that they can stand up for themselves sometimes?
Thank you very much.
Can we identify
Sorry, there is some signal problem. We can't hear you. Doctor, there is some, Dr. Elizabeth.
To